Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 2, season 2 of the Commanding Life podcast with Rachel. I am Rachel. Thank you for being here. I believe that when you align with who you are, you flow to what you want most. And we are about to start a align and flow session with a very special guest, and her name is Roxanne. Let's go. Over. Hello, Roxanne. Welcome again, because we were having some technical difficulties, but welcome. I am
Yes.
so happy to see you. And I want you to know that I want everybody out there to know that this is a past client who has had multiple sessions, align and flow sessions with me. Even her children, well,
No.
they're not children actually; they're actually grown. But and of all the guests that I have on that's coming up for this season of the Commanding Life podcast, Roxanne is the only person that is a past client. Everyone else, I'm meeting them on screen for the first time. So, my love, welcome,
Wow.
welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel so honored and so privileged to be a part of this um this growing part of commanding life and to be coming back as someone that has known you for quite some time and a past client. It's really a privilege and an honor. So thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you. And let's get into it. What is the theme? What do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about self-love, um, not just the self-care, but that really deep self-love. Um, I was thinking about when I went to my chiropractor earlier today, and when he was done, he kind of backed up and looked at me and said, "Now the healing can begin." And going to him was a part of me wanting to make sure I was doing better for myself and taking care of myself. So for him to kind of step back and say to me, now the healing can begin, that was empowering and inspiring
Was it
to the self-love
metaphorically?
journey.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when he said that,
That's
was
okay.
it like just in him saying physically, but you took it metaphorically? Is that what you're saying?
The kind of person he is, I think he meant it twofold. I
Hmm.
don't think it was just metaphorically, but I think he was definitely saying, okay, yes, we've done the physical work, but let's go a little deeper at this time. So it's it's I don't know if it's that I'm getting at an age where this is becoming really, really important to me, and I neglected myself for so long, being a single parent and trying to raise 3 children, that I forgot what it's like to really take care of you and love on you. So,
It's interesting because I'm intuitive. So when I thought about this session today, I literally had that exact thought. Roxanne is in a place where it's all about her and it's new. And it's how do you make it about you when for so long you made it about them? And the first question I would ask is, what do you think self-love is?
the first word that just came to mind was kindness. There's a kindness that you have to have for yourself, and for me, I think, as you mentioned, for so long I've been just doing it for everyone else. Forgiveness, even, because even though I was loving them to the best of my ability, sometimes it wasn't in their love languages, and so there are so many things to forgive myself for feeling like I'm I may have fallen short here and there, and um or feeling like sometimes I didn't give enough when I gave the best that I could. But, you're always feeling like, oh, I could have. And now it's kind of more like, I've really just done the best that I could. And I need to forgive myself for certain things and stop feeling so guilty or overwhelmed, or not overwhelmed, I'm sorry, obligated um, to keep doing more before I fill myself back up.
Because I like to say to others that self love is the feeling and self care is the act. And
Oh,
when you said the first word that came to you was kindness, you're on the right track for self love, because kindness is emotion that that
mm,
first and foremost, right? Because when you think about kindness, it's just not being kind to yourself in doing things. It's being kind to yourself, like you just said, by I forgive those thoughts, those things, me not knowing. That's compassion. Self compassion is part of self love. So it's like you're giving yourself the kindness, the grace, the room to not be perfect. And that's also that's the first step. So when you're having thoughts that are not, like you said, oh, I didn't do a good job, maybe I wasn't the best mom in that moment, it's like being kind, that I was
yeah,
doing, and the awareness of I was doing the best I knew how to express love at that time. And I'm one
absolutely.
that has always said to you, even though you felt like you weren't doing a great job, you have three amazing, brilliant, expressive, living their best lives, creative, like they are the testament of how much love you gave them, because that's how they walk around in this world. And we learn it from the one who loves us the most. So even though you're not being
Oh,
kind, you know what I mean, to your, even though you're having those thoughts, I could have done better. How much more better, excuse the construction of that sentence, how much more better would your
right.
kids be? You know what I mean? They're kind. And it's because you were kind. They learned that from you. So, again, self love, it's like, it's that grace, that compassion. You did an amazing job. And no one came out the womb perfect knowing how to love. We learned it. And you may have learned it in a version, you know what I mean? But you
Yeah.
worked on creating it your own version. So I love that the first word you said was kindness, because it is the emotion. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but go ahead.
No, it feels really beautiful. The interesting thing about it, in the past year, over the past year, each one of the children have had a conversation with me where they express to me that they see me as a person as
Mm,
well, not just a mom, and that they saw some of the things that I went through, like, wow, that was a lot for you to go through. How did you, get through that? And they just really were able to now see me, spiritual being having this human experience, that you're another person. Yes, you're mom, but you, like, they gave me that grace that you mentioned, and they gave me that pardon. Like, you don't have to keep feeling like you owe us anything. You've done the best that you can. And I think my son, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much led on to the fact that now it's our time to step it up and do better based off of the experiences and the lessons that we've learned. It's not to take it and beat you down, but to take it and now we have to take the baton and move forward with it. And so it's really nice to have people around me that are rooting me on and cheering me on, like, go take care of yourself, all the girls, they're always take care of you. You got to be good. They understand that concept. And I think that means they're going to learn more about self-love earlier
But
and better.
I like where, you say stuff to, you say, I like where I want you, because a lot of people don't know how far you've come, because I've known you for a long time. So
Yes.
it's like the evolution of this conversation is amazing. But we've had conversations where whatever you're wanting in your life, you got to get on the vibrational wavelength of it, right? Right? Or the emotional wavelength. I just want you to
Truly.
see that you are getting grace, kindness, and
Mhm.
compassion because you're giving yourself
Giving it.
grace, kindness, and compassion. I love how, I mean, we're probably not doing like a lot of super healing or whatever at this point, especially based on where you've been and all of that, but it's like you're the evolution of what a
Hmm.
lot of people are trying to get to, where it's like I say it all the time, and you know this, if you don't know who you are, know what you need, aren't aware in the moment, like you say, it's like, oh, I'm having negative thoughts, but I'm going to be kind with my thoughts to myself, about my past. And you're realizing that in those things to myself, my children, and I want to mention, we say children, and Roxanne looks super young. They're late teens because Zion graduated about, is she 20 yet? She's 20?
In a few days.
Oh my God. So I'm just letting people know the age
Yeah.
range. These are not 30 somethings, you know what I mean? That are coming and say, oh, I see you did a great job, mom. It's just that it's a perfect example of we need to align within ourselves, and
Yeah.
everyone else comes into that vibration. So it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that she's never had tug of war with her children, or it was difficult, it was challenging,
Hmm.
but for them to come back and say these words is because you found it first within yourself. And it's a journey. I mean,
I trust that.
it's
Yes.
amazing. It's amazing. So,
It's amazing how many things I can really, like you said, you can see that mirror. You can see how the more, and it's absolutely true. The more that I keep treating myself a certain way, there are people that are drawing to me that are treating me the exact same way. It's almost kind of mind blowing to see how easy it's happening. It's flowing so easy that it almost felt a little overwhelming at times. But I'm like, wait a minute, this is what I've been giving. This is what I've been speaking to myself. Um, I've even had an experience when we're talking about self love where I realized that I was sitting on a plane and I didn't have people sit next to me that I can have a conversation with. I'll be one that I can. And for a moment, got a little frustrated at the people behind me talking so loud and just having a good old time. And I'm like, just sitting there. The people next to me are not talking. I can't have a conversation with them. And I'm just sitting here by myself. And many years ago, I probably would have turned around and be like, can you guys keep it down?
I don't think people understand your
You're
growth.
fine. But there was, right before our flight took off, Gail, Oprah's best friend, there was something on Instagram that just popped up where she had a conversation with um, Maya Angelou many years ago. And she called Maya to complain about something. And Maya said to her, stop it, stop it. Just say thank you. Just say thank you. So that was like etched in my brain as we were traveling. And long story short, I just just say thank you. I'm like, what am I saying thank you for? They're having a good time. And it dawned on me, you don't get to mess up somebody else's vibration. How about you smile and laugh and be happy for them? Because guess what? If you mess up that for them, you'll never get that thing that you're looking for. And soon after, all I ever get once in a while when I'm just somewhere, I get to conversate and have that synergy with somebody. You may never see them again, but just that moment. And I remember one of the girls saying that her dad had just passed away a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered my own daughter who doesn't have her father. And I'm like, you are going to totally mess this up for her. But remember, you want compassion too, right? So you got to give it. It's amazing.
It's
Amazing. And I
and
love it.
I think the key with a lot of it is what people don't understand is in that moment you could have reacted, and like you said, your old self was say something, be annoyed, you know what I mean? And have them ruin your entire flight because you are annoyed. But your response was, they're having a good time. They deserve
Mhm.
a good time. I deserve a good time. And
That's good.
think about it. It's like, and then that changed your mood for, I remember the good times. I
The
remember
good
some
time.
other times when I was the one sitting in the back of someone else having a good time.
Good
And in
time.
that, I think, and again, we've had the conversation. You remember, it's like it's being in the moment. And I know what you're saying is because I've always said to you, and it's something I say, it's like we're the ones having the experience. And that's how you change your experience because you could have reacted and be annoyed, or you could have been like, I am great. They're having a good time. I am grateful for the good times that I have
Yeah,
had. So I am actually grateful that I'm sitting here, whether somebody's talking to me or not, I'm grateful for life. And that in itself
truly.
is just, it just changed the whole experience. And I think a lot of people don't realize we are the ones, I will always say, everything starts with us. We're the ones living the life. And I want to say, I
Absolutely.
am so proud of you because Roxanne has also had multiple journals. We've had this, we've had such a long journey, and
Mhm.
it's in just starting off every day. It's so long that I've known her where you were angry, you were hurt,
Very.
you were deeply hurt, deeply angry, and it was you against the world. The
The
world was
world.
always against Roxanne. And to see
Yes.
this person that is in the moment, that is grateful, it's coming through your skin because I'm seeing the joy, the love, the everything, the pride in even yourself. Because even when that angry Roxanne didn't take pride in anything, and you know that.
No,
And I
no.
just wanted you to, because what did what changed for you to not be angry? Do you remember? Because it's so many things, so many years. What do you remember? What changed? What changed?
It's interesting. One of the things that I realize is that when I'm angry, I'm holding on to stress and I'm giving my power away. And it's like my body is just tight and feeling extremely stressed. My mind changed. There's my mind has just changed and it continues to change. And as I experience the shift immediately, it's really happening immediately as I change my mind. I change my mind about how I want to feel. Every single time I start slipping into feeling frustrated and aggravated, and I change my, okay, how do you want to feel right now? And that was one of the keys that you gave me a long time ago. And it's just something I keep with me. It's like my credit card, I don't leave without it kind of thing. I'm able to continue realizing and remembering and reminding myself that I have the power at any given moment to change me first and my attitude and my behavior, and then everything else around me just keeps doing the same thing. And it's really interesting, even with my older daughter, sometimes we butt heads. And the way I used to deal with that and the way I deal with it now, I take a deep breath. I choose my words, better words, more empowering words for both she and I. And we're able to get out of it, both expressing what what the thoughts were, the misunderstanding, clearing the air, and then getting back to a really good place very, very quickly. When
So,
I started to notice that,
mhm.
yeah,
No, finish.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
like, once I started to see a difference with how I was operating with her by choosing, I don't want this to go down a road where we're just fussing and fighting and arguing and now we're yelling and screaming. Nobody feels good. I just keep wanting to feel better and good about life. Um, of course, losing people has definitely been that constant reminder of how fragile life is and unpredictable. And it's just been a mental choice. It's a mindset thing for me.
So I just wanted to tie it back to what you said. This episode is about self love, and self love is the feeling. And when you feel that
Hmm.
you don't like where it's going, or I don't feel good, you take
Hmm.
control and you start with kindness to yourself, which again is another emotion, or compassion. And it is all awareness of how I feel. And like you said, it's
Yeah,
something I always say, it's like how you feel is important because you're the one feeling your feelings. It doesn't mean that people are not frustrating, it's not challenging. It's just a constant reminder this is not how I want to feel. So
yeah,
I just bring it back to what, how do I want to feel? And everyone's different and we find different ways to get back to how we want to feel. And to clarify, I like people to realize it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel these negative feelings. They're actually bringing your attention to something you don't want,
hmm,
right? And you know that. So it's like, you know, I'm sure over the years we've talked about multiple techniques to get back to whether it's gratitude, whether it's being in the moment, whether it's just like just go like take a nap. We've talked about like a lot
yeah,
of that different stuff. It's like just stop doing the thing that's frustrating you in that moment, and sometimes just course correct it.
absolutely.
Yeah, and going from there, because a lot of people was like, well, how did she do it? I want people to really know that this has probably been over a 10-year journey. So
It has actually.
it's, yeah,
It's been about 11, I
yeah,
think, or
yeah.
could be closer to 12, but it's
Because
it's definitely been over a decade.
I just wanted people to know that you didn't just wake up from having, because for clarification, there's a lot, like you said, like Roxanne was angry at the world, right? And it
Yeah.
was everyone else to it's about me, right? And I just want, and so many amazing things are happening in your life. The relationships, like you said, are changing. And, this, I just want people to know this is not something that happened overnight. You worked at it, you worked at it, you worked at it, because in every single situation or time, you chose yourself. And a lot, and in choosing yourself, like you said, you could communicate with her her oldest, which is she's headstrong, she's
Yeah.
independent, she's super creative. And I don't think people, it was not there. Like that took
No.
a lot. And that's why I said again, it's all testament on your work and how amazing your life has evolved, because and you're still evolving, you're still growing, you're still being amazing. You're just
Absolutely.
beginning. And I'm sure that's how you feel. And
That's how I feel.
especially now, because like I said, I thought about it. You're starting a new journey, a new chapter, a new you. So now that we know, I think you've got the self love muscle, because you're going to work on it till you're like 99, right? What, my favorite questions, what do you want now?
Ooh. Now, what I find myself wanting is to, it's like, I feel like I've been in a very safe, I put myself in a very safe place. And now I find myself wanting to discover and explore what more I can do and not limiting myself to just what has been comfortable. I really find myself feeling like, you know, if you were able to do what you did as a mom and you continue to be that supportive system for them, and they are now also being supportive for you, I feel myself moving into more of a leadership outside of my family, if that makes sense now, where, I was just kind of flying under the radar, just doing the best that I can to raise the children, kind of more of a surviving thing. And now I'm feeling myself wanting to thrive. It's like, wait a minute, you've got way more gifts and purpose here. What is it that you need to do? There's more for you to do. So that's the place where I'm feeling myself constantly. There's a shift going on.
So, what you're saying is, I am really into me and loving me and believing in me. And
Mhm.
because I believe in myself and I am more confident in who I am and what I'm capable of, because I see me, right? You know what I mean? I see me. I see how the love I give is reflected to me, the kindness I give, the compassion, everything is being reflected, and I'm seeing me for who I am. I am ready to, like you said, in thriving, just be the best version of me without fear, because even in that journey you've realized I'm always supported on this journey, I'm always provided for on this journey. And now that I've like gotten the confidence in who I am,
Oh yeah,
like I'm ready to like test, right? Or push the limits on what I can create. You know what and
yeah.
it's I'm sure you're like, it's a beautiful space. I know you enough to know when you just said that I don't have to know where I'm going. I just want to go. Right?
I just want to go.
Literally is
Yeah,
what you're saying to me,
yeah,
right? Which is no matter where I go is going to be good, because again, I am in control of my response. And I know that everything is always working out for me. Everything is always happening for me. You're seeing the pattern of not just your love, but the universal love,
Yes.
support, yep, and protection. And isn't it a great place to be when you do the work to really see that I don't have to work on me, right? Because I don't have to perfect loving me. I just have to continue perfecting loving me,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
isn't it? I feel so good, so proud, so happy, so like, because I could feel like where you are. You're like, I don't know where I'm going, right?
No.
Like, it's gonna be great. Like, so I'm
The
really
word
Go ahead.
the word confident and the word belief, very impactful, and it's the nail on the head type of feeling, that confidence and that belief in, I don't even need to figure it out anymore.
Because you've
It's
seen the
already done.
consistency. Yeah, yeah, it's done, right? But you also see the consistency of divine support, the support of infinite intelligence,
Yeah.
the support of God, the support of sources. What you've seen the consistency of the support when you align with who you are, you flow. You don't care what you flow, where you flow into, you know it's gonna be amazing. And it's just up to you now that you know that I create my environment based on my vibration or what I'm mastering within myself. It's like, okay, what do I want to create next? So, what you want is just
Yeah.
way more consistency of your ability. And I always have to clarify, it does not mean that Roxanne isn't getting trials along the way, right?
That's right.
Like, you just are, you could say you're just, you could explain when you have a trial, what happens?
Well, first of all, I'm able to view it differently, um, meaning that I'm no longer the victim, and I'm no longer feeling like the whole world is against me. Like you mentioned earlier, I had this feeling like everything and everyone was against me. I'm no longer the victim. Everyone else is going through things, and how I deal with it can help that other person as well as help me. Um, I'm able to look at situations now not as like this thing is happening to me. I love, I saw the clip where Jay-Z said, "This is not happening to me, it's happening for me." So
Mm-hmm.
now my perspective on how things are unfolding, it's like, okay. And then also taking serious accountability. I mean, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we bring things on ourselves in different ways. And I find that now that I'm more accountable for, if I said that I was leaving home at 5:05 and I left at 5:10 and I'm going to the store and somebody now gets in the line in front of me and they're taking forever and a day, I can't even get mad anymore, because had I left at 5:05, like I committed to myself, that's self-commitment now is starting to shift. It's like, whatever you're saying to yourself, be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Can I honestly do this? Can I honestly be true to yourself as best as you can, and you'll see a shift. Also, taking accountability is where I've seen a big shift. If I'm wrong and I can say to myself, well, that was because you didn't do this. I don't want to use the word fault and things like that. It was just because we just learned to correct the behavior. It's like, well, if you try doing this instead of that, or just own your part in what caused this to happen. Own your part in, if there's a misunderstanding, own your part in that. Whatever it is, learning to be accountable to myself.
And I think people, when they hear we're powerful creators, we're powerful creators of problems and we're powerful creators of
Mhm.
solutions. So when you say take accountability, it's in I want to clarify, it's not necessarily a problem. It's just an opportunity to learn something new about yourself, and like you said, the fact that I've created this air quotation problem, or like I like to say, an opportunity to learn something about yourself because I created that. And because you said, and I now take responsibility for what I created, I can now use it in my favor. I can learn that I want or don't want this, or I prefer or I don't prefer this, or I realize that I'm someone that needs to do better at this because I'm not good at this. So when people see a problem, they need to realize it is now an opportunity to make a change. And we are here for the pleasure of creating solutions from setbacks. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people think, when you are going through that, we're never ever going to have challenges, or you're never going to have doubt, or you're, even though you've built this confidence, that you may never have lack of confidence again. It's not like that, because when you're trying something new, you will question your ability to do it. But I we eventually learn to trust, or where we place or trust. And people don't realize you could place your trust in your ability to make mistakes and learn from it, or put your trust in, oh, I'll never be able to go. We really do have the choice in where we place our trust. I could put my trust that if I take this leap of faith, I'm gonna fly, or I could put my trust in the fear that I'm feeling to take the
Mm,
leap of faith. We choose where we put our trust. Trust is built in, and trust comes from that constant practice of changing or response to whatever we're facing. And that's what you've said. It's a constant taking responsibility for where I am and what I create. And I love where you learned you're never a victim, because you have the
absolutely.
power to respond differently. And I love where on that airplane I could sit here and be the victim of these loud people in the back, or I could respond and say, you know what? They're having a good time.
This is
I've had a
beautiful.
good time. It's amazing. And I want more good times. You know what I
Time.
mean? That's
Yep.
where we take our power in our response. And it doesn't mean we're gonna yell at somebody sometimes. I always try to let people realize that. It's just catching yourself, taking responsibility, like you say, and say, you know what? I am responsible for how I feel. And I love that. I love that for
Yes.
you. I love where you've evolved in your future evolution. I really, really love and
Mhm.
appreciate, because I want to end, because it's the last 10 minutes. I want to ask one question. What is the
Sure.
longest lesson you think you've taken to learn this far? What do you think that is?
Wow. Before I answer that, I do want to chime in a little bit on the idea of when we're going through things. One of the things that I've learned lately is that going through things actually helps me. It feels like it's stretching me to really morph into that better person, because when I'm in my comfort zone, oh, it's easier. When things are not challenging, it's so much easier and much more pleasant. But being able, and the last 2 years, I've really gone through a lot of challenges where I'm like, what is this? And I really started accept it as the universe's way of saying, I have more for you to do and learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to help you get through this, but you got to trust me in that process. I think the thing that as far as learning, the first word that just came to mind was patience and tolerance. I'm not really sure why that is, but there is something about patience and tolerance that I believe there is for me to learn, because it's being tested a lot. And as I said it, I realized that there were times that I was so impatient with other people, and so many times that I didn't have a lot of tolerance. And I am definitely working on being more patient, more understanding, more compassionate. There's something about the understanding and the compassion, which I could sit here and almost for a moment feel like, as a little child, it was understanding and compassion that I also wanted so badly.
So isn't it always a
So
learning lesson? Because it's like, is it because you weren't patient with yourself, you weren't tolerant with yourself? Is that why you're saying it's the longest lesson, or is it you're wanting more patience and intolerance? Really, it's the same thing, but
I think maybe it's a more so that I wasn't really very patient with myself. I was kind of like thrown, like, I kind of grew up in a place where I was around a lot of adults very early on. I'm the oldest child and the oldest grandchild, and I just didn't know what that was like to be more patient and tolerant, even with myself. Like, you don't have to grow up so fast. You don't have to get it done this way or that way. The societal influences, the outside influences have always somehow affected me. And I think I'm starting to come to terms with that. Like, wait a minute, this is my journey. It's not anybody else's. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to go the way that society wants.
So you're saying you're more patient, or you're becoming more patient with your pace as you
Becoming more
progress?
with
So
my pace.
so the reason why I asked why it's patience, and so it all comes back to exactly what you said. It's like I didn't love myself enough to give myself grace and compassion with my pace. So I was hard
Yes.
on myself because I wasn't where I wanted to be, or it was hard for me to always accept where
Yes.
I am. So you weren't living in the moment. You were always the when I get this, I'll be happy, the when. So it actually is kind of an extension of not taking responsibility for where you are, because where you are is where you're
Mm,
supposed to be. So it's like, and it's okay where you are. And like you said, because society says you're supposed to be this far along. But sometimes I think a lot of people don't realize that you probably didn't get further because you were meant to be where you were meant to be to have the amazing children that you have, and give them the love, the attention, the support, and even that time for you to become a better you. So when the blessings of what you want comes in, it's
Yeah.
appreciated. It's
Yeah.
you're grateful for it because you're in the moment.
The
And
moment.
yeah, and I don't think people realize you could savor it better when you are in the moment enjoying it because you're
That's
not
it.
thinking when. But again, where you
Yeah.
are is where you're supposed to be. So you were meant to get nowhere. I'm not saying you got nowhere, but the place you were meant to be was to nurture those amazing souls of children that you have. So
Yeah.
I mean, we always look at things from I'm not where I want to be. I'm not. I'm supposed to be more successful. I'm supposed to be more this, more. I think we always want more. And I think sometimes just you've learned an amazing thing. Like, be kind to myself. Sometimes just being present with yourself in that moment, you're actually opening the door to more because you're giving you more. And I always say, just because you give yourself more, it means you just have, like you've even said in this video, more love for your children because you're
Yeah.
giving yourself more. And it's a
Mhm.
concept I think it's so hard for a lot of people to understand. Self first is the most
Appreciation.
selfless
Yes.
thing you can do. Self first is
Yeah.
not selfish. It is the most
Exactly.
selfless thing because it's like you have become such an amazing, compassionate human being, kind, actually patient, all of that just because you took responsibility. And I love the message. When I love myself, no matter how long this journey is taking, you're making so much progress in the last 10 or 11 years. And we're not going to tell your age,
Yeah.
but hasn't it been the most blissful 10 or 11 years of
You
your life?
It has definitely been the most blissful years of my life. Before that, I honestly didn't even know bliss existed. And now I find myself kind of almost, it's just like bliss is good. Bliss is where I like to be. Bliss is, and if you know me, and I've never felt this this just amazingness about life and love. I believe in love, and I love what you said about appreciating, because that is one of the things that I had to learn, to just appreciate myself and everything and everyone around me, what I've been through. We could go on and on to but that appreciation for even my journey has really opened up a lot of things for me and has allowed me to free myself from the shackles of like all the negative things that we sometimes look at. I'm able to focus in on what positive came out of the situations with my children and my everything that I've been through. And then it just feels better. I feel lighter. I feel more joy. And that bliss, oh my gosh, it's just like blowing in the wind, starting to feel like, I'm starting to get used to the feelings, the better feelings, those good feelings. And I just love that I'm able to start, gravitating more towards that. And even when I tilt a little bit, I'm able to be like, no, we like it here. We don't like it. We like it here. So
So
it's just
I
been
want
wonderful.
to end this episode on such a high vibration. And it's what I always say. When you align with who you are, you see her drifting and swaying and flowing. You flow to what you want most.
Mm.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode. Thank you, Roxanne, for being here. And as always, many blessings to you.